Hey, what's up? I'm Justin, and it's time for a pit stop. Hello and welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. And guess what? Guess what, race fans? It's Daytona race weekend, the great American race, and it's today. That's right, it's finally arrived. So I've got lots to fill you on to get you ready for the big race. But we start with the new stars of NASCAR, the future drivers, guys like Blaney, Bowman, Elliott, Bubba Wallace, Suarez, and Jones. The field is full of them, and it's their time. It's their time to shine, and they're going to make the most of the opportunity they have worked so hard and dreamed for all their lives. They're going to take advantage of this opportunity they've been handed. And the two winners of the duels, for instance, the young stars, Ryan Blaney and Chase Elliott, both winning the duels. The future stars are here to play, and I bet that pissed Kyle Busch off. In fact, there's already a conspiracy theory afoot that NASCAR fixed the finish so that their young guns could take the glory. And Kyle Busch, he spent the majority of the offseason around the January timeframe really complaining about how NASCAR was giving too much attention to their young drivers. Well, they go out and they both win the duels. And I bet that really pissed him off, because they're living up to the hype. Because that was one of the things he was saying. Well, he says, "Well, they're giving them all this attention and they're not that good." Well, they lived up to the hype Thursday night. Overall, though, the duels wasn't the best racing I think we could have seen. And I don't think that's any fault of anything other than I just think it's because the cars are way too crazy. They're just way too loose. These drivers can barely drive them. Brad Keselowski said that his car was snappy loose on the straightaway. The straightaway. When have you ever heard something like that? I've been watching racing for the majority of my life, and I've never heard someone say the problem with my car is it's too loose on the straightaway. That's just something you don't hear. Cars get loose in the corner or coming off corners. They don't get loose on the straightaway. These things are impossible. NASCAR wanted the cars to go so much faster. Well, guess what? They're going really fast, but they can't hang on to them. And guys like Kevin Harvick were saying, well, you don't want to pass because it's difficult to. So most of the race was 150 miles of follow the leader. There were lots of crashes in that first race, and that means that several guys are going to a backup car, including 7-time champion Jimmy Johnson, who is not having a great speed weeks at all. He's crashed 2 cars in 2 races so far, so he's not having a good weekend. But Brad Keselowski will also be going to a backup car after he and Jamie McMurray tangled. And that was a good car that Brad Keselowski tore up. I mean, that may have even been the winning car. I don't know. So he's going to have to go to a backup car. Hopefully that backup car is just as good as that main car, because he's been strong. But Ricky Stenhouse caused 2 of the crashes by spinning out cars that he didn't even touch. The cars are so loose that if you pull out a line, it really upsets the air of the car in front of you, and it causes it to spin. You don't even have to touch the guy. And who knows, maybe that was Ricky Stenhouse's plan all along. I mean, maybe he thought that if he just kept spinning out cars, he'd eventually make it to the front and win the race. Because that's what he did. He wrecked 2 cars. In fact, when he spun David Gilliland, this was fun. He spun David Gilliland, and David Gilliland, did you hear this? He came over the radio and he was like, oh, he wins 2 of these and he thinks he's a hero. Round of applause. That was fun. But Blaney would get he'd get the push from his BFF Bubba Wallace Jr. to get around his Penske teammate Joey Logano, who led the majority of the race, and Ryan Blaney would win the first duel. And then duel number 2 had a little more action in it than the first, but still the cars were so upset that they were just doing more of follow the leader. But Chase Elliott was very aggressive from the start of the race, and he was out there making some brilliant moves, and he would go on to capture the win in duel number 2, like father, like son. But it certainly was a night for the young guns, and all of them did very, very well in the race. They're the future stars, and who knows how they're going to do in the 500. Maybe they will rise to the top and really finish well in the 500. Show these old guys a thing or two. But the youngest driver in the field is William Byron. I mean, he can't legally drink yet, but he could very well become the next biggest star in NASCAR. And he's only 20 years old. I mean, do you remember what you were doing at 20? I was interning at a radio station in Raleigh. William Byron is driving the number 24 for Hendrick Motorsports. And he's currently attending college at Liberty University. He's an active student. He's taking classes, taking tests, studying, all that good stuff. Homework, the 9 yards. But on the weekend, he's driving a race car for one of the top teams in all of motorsports. How awesome is that? Am I right? I mean, who could imagine what that's even like? But he's good. In fact, he's damn good. When he was a Truck Series driver, he won 7 races and grabbed 16 top 10 finishes in only 23 races. I mean, think about that for just a second. That means his rookie year as a Truck Series driver, he failed to finish in the top 10 in only 7 races. That is called amazing. That is what that is called. Then he goes over to the Xfinity Series, moves up a little step on the ladder, and he wins 4 races and grabs 22 top 10 finishes and a dang championship in his first try. Now he finds himself at the highest level of stock car racing. 2 years it took him to make it there. So now what? How long will it take Byron to win his first race? Will he win a race in his first year as a Cup driver? I mean, the Cup driving, it's a different level than the trucks in the Xfinity Series. But will he rise to the occasion? Are we looking at a new future 7-time champion? I mean, how does Hendrick find these guys? But yeah, like I said, obviously Cup is a different level than the trucks or Xfinity. But his confidence as a driver leads me to believe that he'll get a win this year. He could win the race tomorrow. I mean, let's not get crazy though. I mean, rookies don't normally win at Daytona because the veteran drivers don't tend to work with them in the draft. I mean, they don't know them. They don't know how to race around them. They don't know what to think or who to trust. But we could be watching the rise of a new racing star with William Byron. And how do you know that he's on his way to fame? He was recognized in an Outback Steakhouse the other night. You know you're on your way when they start recognizing you at the Outback Steakhouse. So Chevy has a new Camaro. Toyota updated their body style last year, but the Fords have the oldest body style in the field. However, all that is going to change because the captain, Roger Penske, announced last Sunday that a new body was coming to the Fords. When asked about having the oldest bodies in the league, Penske said, you know what, we can't really use it as an excuse because we're still winning. And the cars are still no joke. I mean, the Fords have been the strongest manufacturer over the Daytona Speed Weeks, and I actually think it'll be a Ford pulling into victory lane today for the Daytona 500. So what will the body look like of the new Fords? If I had to put my money on it, I'd bet it's the Ford Mustang. Ford races the Mustang in the Xfinity Series already, and with Chevy bringing out the Camaro to Cup racing, well, I bet that just didn't sit well with Ford, so I bet you Ford's bringing up the Mustang. And I think that'll look cool. That just leaves Toyota, but I guess they'll stick with the Camry because I don't really know if they have a sports car, do they? But I bet that Mustang's coming and it'll look good because that Mustang looks sharp in the Xfinity Series. And I've been saying for years, why don't they bring the Mustang to Cup racing? Well, with the Camaro going up there, they're going to do it now. Watch them because, they're not going to be happy with the Camaro being out there against a Ford Fusion. Let me just ask you a quick question, though. If NASCAR was for sale, would you buy it? Would you want it? And if you bought it, what changes would you want to make? And you might say that there's no way NASCAR would ever be for sale. I mean, that's crazy talk, right? That's what you might say. That's crazy. But there are rumblings. That might not be all that crazy. Mike McAteer, who's a contributor for NRN, posted an article on the NRN Facebook page that you can go check out, that there's a chance that NASCAR could indeed go up for sale. The France family, have owned NASCAR for the last 70 years. And now they say that they are not selling. But when Liberty bought F1, it got some folks interested. And the rumor is going around the garage that Comcast would be the one that would probably pick up that tab. Comcast is already a pivotal partner to NASCAR. They handle the media rights and everything. But if you bought the sport, let's say you bought it, that would actually give you full access to decision-making on promotional stuff and rule keeping and all that kind of thing. I mean, you would be the guy in charge. You would be the king of the castle. The guy sitting on the throne, it would be yours. NASCAR land would be yours. You could shape the sport however you wanted it. And with the France family, I mean, they own most of the racetracks they race on, right? I mean, they got the market there. It's their sport. They own racetracks. Since it's their sport, they can run on their racetracks. I mean, that's just how it goes. It goes around in a circle, much like NASCAR does. But if they open it up, let's say if a company like Comcast was to buy the sport, you actually could open that up to more tracks. I mean, that's what it would do. It would allow you for more short tracks, which I think is needed. And I dare say I think more road courses are needed. And there's plenty of tracks around America that just aren't run on that would hold some good NASCAR races, because let's face it, most of the tracks in NASCAR, they all look the same anyway. But there's a lot of unique tracks out there that could really lend itself to some good racing. And if you own NASCAR, you could go there. I mean, so what would you do? Is that what you would do? Would you add more tracks? That's something I would do. I wouldn't repeat tracks. You would go to the track one time a year. And I'd put in more tracks so that the schedule could lend itself to some variety of racing. How would you change it? Maybe one day NASCAR will be bought out like F1. I don't know. Who's to say it won't? I will say, though, the changes that Liberty Media have been making to F1, not all of them have been popular. So I would hope that maybe if someone did buy NASCAR, it would be for the better. And maybe something like that is needed, because NASCAR isn't what it used to be. And maybe it does need a little something fresh, because let's face it, it's gotten kind of cheesy and it's not as good as it once was. So maybe new ownership is what NASCAR needs. A new outlook on it, fresh perspective, someone to come in and make it like the good old days. Maybe that's what it needs. In a message to social media the other day that was posted, Red Bull announced that they would give us the first look at their 2018 F1 car, the RB14. Towards the end of the season, their performance dropped off a little bit, so they will be looking to this new car to kind of revive them and hopefully compete for a championship this year, which would be cool to see Red Bull compete with Mercedes. And I'm hoping Ferrari can too. I want more contenders in the championship. That's all I'm asking for. Okay. But of course, Red Bull will hope to be more competitive with the new Renault powered race car. And McLaren will also be with Renault next year. They had a pitiful year with the Honda engine, so they are forming a new partnership with Renault as well. And that's actually how I got all these really cool McLaren Honda shirts off the store over the holidays. They had a massive sale, so I stocked up on it. But I had no idea that was going on at the time. I was actually thinking when I was buying all these shirts, why are all these shirts on sale? This is going to be so cool. Oh, wait, the Honda logo. It doesn't matter anymore. Stupid. But it'll be busy next week, because all of them are pretty much launching, and Sauber will be launching their new car on Tuesday. And always the competitors, Mercedes and Ferrari, will launch their cars on Thursday. But the American team of Haas F1 has set a very ambitious target this season, I think. Gene Haas hopes to have his car within 1 second of the front runners. Yeah. The Haas car is basically made up of all Ferrari components anyway, so they actually said they really believe to be competitive, they actually have to be within a second of Ferrari, since they're using all Ferrari parts anyway to accomplish their goal of having a successful season. But last year certainly wasn't good for the team. But since then, they said they've worked out a lot of their issues, because I'm sure last year put a raw taste in their mouth. But Haas is saying he's eliminated a lot of the variables that made them weak last year, and he thinks he can be within 1 second of the competition. And if he is in 1 second of the competition, he feels like he can score points and be competitive like he thinks he should. But I don't know. I still think that's very ambitious. They've been making a lot of changes. They're going to try to make Formula One more competitive and more winners on the weekend. But I still have this feeling deep in my soul that Mercedes is still going to whoop everyone's ass, and it won't matter. But that's just my 2 cents on that, if you care. But now it's time for the 60th running of the Great American Race. It's Daytona, baby, and it's just hours away. And they will line up like this. Here's your starting lineup for the Daytona 500. Alex Bowman will be on the pole for the 500. This is his first career pole, and what a race to do it in. Denny Hamlin will be to his outside in second. And I've been a little surprised that he hasn't been as strong during the speed weeks, seeing as he's probably one of the best plate racers out there. With the virtue of winning duel number 1, Ryan Blaney will roll off third in his Penske Ford, and Chase Elliott will be fourth after winning duel number 2. Joey Logano will be fifth. He's looking for a better season than he had last year. His strong start at Daytona could set the tone for the rest of the year, of course. Kevin Harvick will be sixth. Another that's not made a ton of noise during the speed weeks, but we'll see how he goes in the race. The rookie Bubba Wallace Jr. will be making his first start in the Richard Petty 43. He'll roll off 7th. Eric Jones taking over the ride from Matt Kenseth will be 8th. Do you miss Matt Kenseth yet? Have you missed him yet during the speed weeks? I certainly haven't. I'm sure you haven't either. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. will be 9th, and Clint Boyer will start 10th. The defending winner of the race, Kurt Busch, will be 11th, and his younger brother Kyle Busch will start 12th. Ryan Newman will start 13th. Austin Dillon will start 14th. David Reagan will start 15th. Paul Menard, who's taking over for the Wood brothers, he'll be starting from 16th. Daniel Suarez, starting his sophomore season, will be 17th. Can he get a win this year? What do you think? Former winner of the Daytona 500, Trevor Bayne, will start 18th. Jamie McMurray will start 19th. The Danger, AJ Allmendinger, will start 20th. Chris Buescher, I'm still a big fan of him. I think he's pretty underrated. He'll start 21st. Michael McDowell will start 22nd. Ty Dillon, 23rd. Defending Monster Energy champion Martin Truex Jr. will start 24th, but I guarantee you won't finish there. Brendan Gaughan will start 25th. Casey Kane will be making his first start with a brand new team. He'll start 26th. And Earnhardt in the field, Jeffrey Earnhardt, he'll start 27th. Danica Patrick making her final NASCAR Cup start will start 28th. Justin Marks will start 29th. DJ Kennington will start 30th. 31st will be Brad Keselowski. He won the Clash and has been quick during the speed week, so I'm pretty sure he'll make his way to the front, and he'll be in a backup car. Corey LaJoie will start 32nd, and the young William Byron will start 33rd. Greg Galding will start 34th. And Jimmy Johnson, who's had some rough luck down in Daytona so far, he'll start 35th. Matt DiBenedetto, he'll start 36th. Eric Almirola will be making his first start for Stewart Haas Racing in the 37th position. Kyle Larson, who is a favorite to compete for the championship this year, he'll have a long ways to go, starting 38th. David Gilliland will be 39th, and rolling off last on the grid will be Mark Thompson. Those are the starting positions for the 60th running of the Daytona 500, and all the drivers that went down to Daytona will be making the race. 40 positions were available, and only 40 cars showed up to the dance. And my thoughts before we get going, this is going to be a bizarre race. That's all I got to really say about it. I think it'll be more surviving than racing. I expect the drivers to form a line and just kind of ride. Not a whole lot going on early on. You know, maybe there'll be some hard racing for the first 5 or 6 laps as people try to get in position, but then it'll kind of fan out and everybody will be just hanging on to what they got. The cars are difficult to drive, which means it's difficult to pass. So I don't expect to see too much racing from the start, but obviously as it gets towards the end of the race, they'll start making those moves. So the finish should be good. The finish at Daytona is always good, though. I mean, what am I talking about? And I think a Ford will win. I expect to see lots of problems on pit road as we navigate the new rule changes, and of course I expect to see some big wrecks during the race. But who will win? As I said, I think it'll be a Ford, and I think, let me narrow it down even more for you, I think it'll be a Penske driver, and my pick is Brad Keselowski is my pick to win the race this year. But do you have any big plans for the race? Are you throwing a 500 party this year? Are you cooking out? It should be nice weather around here. You know, it might be a little cloudy, maybe some rain. Are you going to cook out burgers, chicken wings? Going to order a pizza, something like that? How are you going to be spending the race? I think I'm going to be making some burgers and drinking some Miller Lite. All I know is I can't wait. Racing is back. And boy, is it exciting. I think it should be a holiday. Daytona 500 weekend should be a holiday. What do you think? All right, well, that's going to do it here for the Pit Stop. I hope you enjoy the race today. And stick around later for the recap on NRN. But have a good race. Enjoy it. I hope it's good. And I'll see you later. Take it easy. I'm Justin. Have a great week.